Manchester United are determined to not miss out anymore on top young talents and will continue the signings of the likes of Obi-Martin and Sekou Kone. Concerns on how Ten Hag is managing the squad, links with Amorim, Tuchel updates, this plus all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video. And let's jump straight on into it. So let's kick off with an update that Romano gave. So he said that INEOS want to keep signing top talents with potential, the likes of Chido, Obi-Martin and Kone. They are already working on more signings like that. United missed out on lots of talents in the past, even if the scouts told the board to sign the player. They will decide to go with different investments, but this is the message of INEOS. It won't happen again. So Romano saying that the likes of Obi-Martin, Kone, like these sort of players that we've missed out on in the past, the list is extensive. Is no longer going to be the case where United are going to continue to sign the likes of these players, which I'm here for all day. I think that was, some part of the foundations that we were built on is bringing through young players, and to miss out on some of the players we have over the years, it's been massively frustrating. So it's good, in my opinion, to see us getting back to doing that. Romano also went on to say they want to sign talents with potentials. These are two exclusive stories I'm really proud of, Sekou Kone and Chido Obi-Martin, because I think these are two special talents. So Romano kind of confirming that, we are going to continue to see. So we're going to see more and more players like this. Obviously, we've signed Lascelles as well, and brought in a few other players in this transfer window. But that is something that's going to continue to happen. I'm here for it all day. I think that's the way, going forward. And I think for two reasons. One, obviously it's nice to get in these kind of young players and develop them and, hope that they will integrate into the first team, but then also financial fair play as well. So they're not quite United ready. We've seen already the benefit of having, decent young players that you can sell on for fees, because it helps you with the PSR rules as well. So massively exciting to see that kind of continue going forward. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, just on Obi-Martin, so United will be patient with Obi-Martin. He has only been training at Carrington a few weeks and won't be rushed to play a competitive fixture for the academy with his long-term development in mind. United will allow Obi-Martin to get his fitness up to speed and settle into his new environment before unleashing him in an academy game. Obi-Martin's situation is similar to Sekou Kone's, so it's nice as well that not only are we bringing these young players in, but also giving them time to develop as well, and not just thrusting them into the, straight into training, straight into the kind of reserve games, giving them time to develop. And that's going to be a long-term benefit, I think, for these players. And again, these are two players that are really, really highly rated. So yeah, I'm all for that. And then another young player that's come through the academy that's close to signing a new contract, according to reports, Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo is close to signing a new contract with Manchester United, and will receive a wage increase. That came from Steve Rawlinson from the Manchester Evening News. But then Romano also confirmed that Manchester United see Kobbie Mainoo's contract extension as a priority, but not at the final stage as of today. There's also a good chance Amad Diallo signs a new deal. The club see these extensions as priority, so I'm pleased with that as well. Kobbie Mainoo, I think, is an outstanding young talent, and I think Amad Diallo, again, outstanding young talent as well. So be pleased to see those two getting the rewards, because I think they've been, they're top talented young players, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely ones we should be tying down for contracts at this age. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then sticking with Romano, he also said Manchester United want to invest in a winger in 2025. Eberechi Eze is one of the players they have been scouting, but no decision on who to sign yet. So Romano also confirming that, going forward, 2025 is a winger or a forward that we're going to be investing in. Eze is one of the players on the list, but nothing's been confirmed as of yet. I think that's right. I think they're going to look to move on Anthony. Obviously, I think there'll be a few players on the chopping block, because you've got to remember that Omar Barada's kind of mantra is 2 years and done. If you don't prove yourself within 2 years, they're going to look to move you on. That was his kind of model at City. And I think there's a few players with question marks around their head as well. I would say Rashford is, considering the season he had last season, which was terrible, would be a question mark for next summer if he doesn't kind of improve this season. Obviously, Anthony is the other one as well. So yeah, I do think that we do need a winger. I think we would have gone for Elise this summer if we had the cash available, but obviously there were other priorities. Bayern Munich kind of made the move, and it is what it is with that one. But I think they were really interested in Elise, but obviously it didn't materialize because of the other priorities that we had. So yeah, exciting going forward. Definitely looking for a winger. So I'll keep my ear to the ground for any links there and bring you any updates. Right, now, another player who could be leaving next summer, Christian Eriksen, has confirmed that he will leave Manchester United at the end of this season. That came from some Danish outlets. I'm not sure the credibility. It was reposted by more credible outlets, though, so I'm going to assume fairly credible. And in some comments himself, Christian Eriksen said, looking back, I think it was the right choice to stay in the summer. The family is fine. I am fine. I'm now getting some game time again. There is nothing to complain about today. I am looking to the future and focusing on United. I don't think it's... he's out of contract, and I think they would have removed him this summer as well if we got a decent price for him, which never materialised. But obviously, he's having a good season. He's putting himself in the shop window anyway, at least, which is fair enough. But yeah, definitely a player that's looking to move on next summer. And then I brought you news the other day that came from Manchester United's ex-chief scout, and he had another kind of... It's in the same kind of article. Another kind of, behind the scenes, I suppose. He is apparently still quite connected with United. Had a kind of bit to say regarding Marcus Rashford and the rotation policy at United that I wanted to bring to you. So, Erik ten Hag's future has come into question again at Manchester United after what he did to Marcus Rashford in recent weeks. Mick Brown, who worked at United for over a decade during the most successful period and also worked as Sir Alex Ferguson's number 2, exclusively told Football Insider that his treatment of Rashford has led to growing concerns. The former United scout, who remains very well connected at the club, has explained that the issues with Rashford have only ramped up pressure from inside the club. And then he had the following to say, so these are direct quotes from Mick Brown, where he said, I don't understand... the issue with Marcus Rashford in the week. So he's talking about the game against Porto. We played like the Rashford we know, running at defenders, causing all sorts of trouble and scoring a goal. Then he gets taken off at halftime and you assume he's picked up an injury. But when Ten Hag was asked about it, he said it was rotation. It's bizarre. Very, very difficult to fathom the thinking behind that. It's not the first time it's happened either. I've heard there are a few frustrations in the dressing room because of these decisions and the way he's treating the players. The main issue with Ten Hag for me is trying to understand these decisions he makes. All that sort of thinking does is just ramps up the pressure. And again, that came from Footy Insider. I think those quotes are kind of genuine and true because, like, as I mentioned in the other video I did the other day, I don't think you can put someone's name in an article and also direct quotes if they're not genuine or authentic. And again, it says in the report that he has still connections within the club, effectively saying that the players are now questioning the decisions to kind of substitute players, bring them off at halftime and for rotation purposes, which I can kind of see as well, because that was a decision that baffled me. And I don't necessarily think it's directly at Rashford, so I don't necessarily, because some of you will say it was Rashford's fault, and I don't necessarily think that it's a direct... because he also says in the report that it's other players as well that he's kind of done it to. And it was a baffling decision. I'm still amazed by it, especially considering that Rashford wasn't picked for international teams, so he's got 2 weeks break now as well. Did we really need to rotate him at that point? I'm not so sure. It's still a puzzling decision, but effectively that report saying that some of the players are starting to question those decisions as well, which isn't good. We know full well at United that once the players start kind of getting involved in those sort of things, there's only one outcome, and that's that they'll down tools and get the manager fired. So I hope that's not a trend that we see again, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think about that report, though, in the comments. Now, if we were going to go down the route of replacing Ten Hag, there's been so many stories over the last few weeks regarding his future, and that's going to continue, unfortunately, as well. But there's been a few stories regarding Tuchel. So firstly, if Erik ten Hag is sacked by Manchester United, Thomas Tuchel will be one of the top candidates to replace him. The contact is there. Tuchel will definitely want the United job after having some time off. That came from Christian Folk, who's really connected with Bayern Munich and apparently has good connections with Thomas Tuchel. However, same journalist also said Thomas Tuchel is negotiating for the position of national coach for England. So the same kind of journalist saying that, Thomas Tuchel will be one of the top candidates for Man United, but then also linking in with the England manager job. And then the Telegraph said that England are yet to formally interview any of the top candidates for the permanent manager job, even though a closing date for applications was over 2 months ago. The FA insists robust process is ongoing, but claim it must remain confidential. So the Telegraph is saying that England are not close to making a decision for the manager position yet. They're still doing their due diligence. And then Miguel Delaney, who works for the Independent, so a good source, said the weekend's reports of talks with Thomas Tuchel are meanwhile seen as an attempt by those close to the German to put pressure on Manchester United, who have an interest if they do sack Erik ten Hag. So the reports and rumours are kind of suggesting that it's agent talk or media mischief linking Tuchel with the England job to try and kind of put pressure on United, which I did feel at the time actually when I read the initial report, but the Independent kind of coming out confirming that that's the case as well. So just got to be careful, haven't we, with what you're reading and what you're kind of what we're believing at the moment, because I don't think the media have a clue what's going on with the manager situation. I think it's I genuinely just think it's a case that they've not made a decision yet. In fact, they have made a decision. They're backing Ten Hag for now, and they're just going to see how it goes. But I think behind the scenes they will start looking more closely at contingencies, maybe looking at other managers for it. I think they'd be looking at managers for the summer anyway. But I think now they're just kind of looking at, can we get by this season? Because a lot of the top managers that we do potentially want are not available at the moment. And it's a case of, well, do we need an interim in the meantime? So I think those sort of plans are coming together, and results over the next few weeks are going to be the kind of deciding factor. That's how I feel about the manager situation. But let me know what you think in the comments. And then another name we've been linked with is Amorim. So Manchester United have earmarked Sporting Lisbon manager Ruben Amorim as a potential candidate to replace Erik ten Hag at Old Trafford. Man United have added Amorim's name to a list of candidates they are tracking for a potential managerial vacancy alongside the likes of Thomas Frank and Thomas Tuchel. That came from Dean Jones from Court Offside, who is a decent source but not the most credible. But Amorim's definitely a name of a manager that we would be interested in. I think he'd be a top candidate, considering what he's done at kind of Sporting Lisbon. But again, he's not going to leave his job halfway through or at the start of a season after, and potentially on a way to winning a third title for Sporting in a row after them not winning the league for 19 years. So I can't see that one. And that's what I was saying before. I think they're going to be looking more at maybe long-term replacements with the hope that we can get by this season, and that things do improve, and then potentially look to make a change in the summer possibly. But obviously they are aware that if results and performances don't improve, they need to come up with a contingency short term to try and get through, because the likes of Amorim, if we are looking at him and not available, the ones that are available now, the main candidate would be Thomas Tuchel, but he turned us down in the summer as well. So it's a bit of a weird one with the manager situation. But let me know what you think about the whole situation in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you is that United were bugged. So Manchester United's dressing room was bugged before their match at Aston Villa in a surprising security breach. A prankster claims he tricked Villa Park staff and planted a hidden device 2 days before the 0-0 draw. It recorded under fire manager Erik ten Hag's team talk for the Crunch Premier League game. Aston Villa has launched an investigation into how this has happened. This came from The Sun. Apparently they've got the audio, but they're not going to release it, although I would be interested in hearing that audio personally, because I'd love to see what goes on and hear what goes on before and after and halftime, and actually then you can make your mind up a little bit better on the whole kind of manager situation. Is it the instructions? Is it the tactics? Is it the players? Do you know what I mean? I think that would clear a lot of that mess up. So I hope that kind of leaks at some point in time so we can kind of hear it. But I respect The Sun for not releasing it, which is actually, nearly sick in my mouth there. And then they also said that Erik ten Hag's instructions to the team and individual players can clearly be heard in the recordings. The prankster used a phone from China that had a setting where a microphone can be activated by calling it from another device. He had sticky taped the handset somewhere out of sight in the United dressing room and only rang it when he knew that the manager would be there. So that's an absolute bit of madness, isn't it? But thankfully, like I said, I don't think the Sun are going to release the audio, even though I would like to hear that audio clip. But yeah, absolute madness, isn't it, that someone's managed to get in to the dressing room and do that. Let me know what you think about that one, though, in the comments. And let me know what you think about all the stories covered in today's video, because that's you all up to date with all the latest news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you in the next one.